Welcome to the Psychic Pastry Chef, where two unlikely worlds merge. You may know me from my other YouTube channel, Pam Georgel, The Lucky Mermaid, where I post psychic readings and psychic crystal readings for each zodiac sign every month, and the special psychic readings I record for my Vimeo On Demand channel. Here in these videos, I'm combining my 22 years of experience as a pastry chef with my 16 years of experience working as a psychic to show you desserts, cakes, and pastries that you can make at home that will impress your friends and family. And I'm going to give you psychic messages for each sign of the zodiac while doing so. I tuned in psychically to each of the signs of the zodiac to see what desserts would appeal to the individual sun signs. And today we're going to focus on Aries. Aries, you like to conquer something. You love sweet desserts and you like the power and pleasure it brings you. So chocolate is usually something that Aries people really enjoy. Chocolate mousse, anything, fudgy, brownies, chocolate truffles, chocolate candies of any kind. So I looked into my repertoire of desserts and cakes, and I decided the best dessert for you is chocolate decadence Mocha Fudge Cake. So you ready to get going? Let's go. So the first thing that you need to do to start this Mocha Fudge Cake is to get your pans ready. And here we're going to be using a springform pan, but you can really use any pan that has a bottom that can remove. It's the easiest way. And you want high sides because this Mocha Fudge, it's a lot of liquid in this cake batter and it's going to rise up and puff up and then sink back down. So what you want to use with this one, because it is so incredibly liquidy, you're going to need 2 pieces of foil here to cover the bottom of this pan. And you want the shiny side of the foil to be touching the cake. So what you're going to do is just mold the outside shape of the pan first with the foil. And this way you can then more easily fit it into the inside of the pan. So it's really just to get the shape to make it easier. So then you press it in the inside. Okay, so now while I'm smoothing the edges of this foil, I'm going to look into the first sign. And today we're focusing on Aries, so we're going to start with Aries. So what messages can I get for Aries for the year of 2018? I hear long live the king. You're going to have some tremendous expenditure, but it's actually in a good sense. Like this could be buying a new home, could be an expense for starting a new business, but they are talking about some big expense, but it's going to be positive, not negative. I also see that you're going to be really focusing on looking out what's good for you, and you may start to think of selling things also, Aries. You could be selling property or anything you have of value. So look to that. Selling things and making a big purchase also comes up for the Aries in 2018. So now I have my pan. This is how you want it. Don't worry if you're not going to get it all smooth. It's not going to happen like that. You just want to get it nice and tight to the side of the pan. Don't worry about the crinkliness. Just try to flatten it the best that you can. So what you want to do is you want to grease this with melted butter. So you want to melt some butter. This is about a tablespoon, maybe 2. Put it in the microwave. And the other thing you need to remember when you're doing this cake, now, it's a lot of liquid, a lot of liquidy ingredients. You're going to melt chocolate and butter, and you're using hot coffee. You could do this in the microwave if you have a big enough bowl to hold all the chocolate and the butter. But I find if you do it on a double boiler, you will be able to have more control over how all the ingredients are melting. So one of the first things you want to do actually when you're prepping your pan is to put a pot of hot water on the stove and get a bowl that's going to fit onto it nicely like a double boiler. So I have that ready, and I have a wooden spoon. You could also use a whisk, but be careful using a whisk, because if you leave that whisk sitting in the bowl, you're going to burn your hands. So I would use a wooden spoon for that. So now I'm going to brush the pan with the melted butter, and while I'm doing that, I'm going to look into the next sign of Taurus. I see Taurus as having a giant jump up and a giant leap up in status. So this could be a job promotion, or if you own your own business or your own company, you could be jumping up in some way with that. I also see you stylizing yourself differently. Some of you are going to do something completely different with your hair. You could be dyeing it, or you know, just cutting it in a whole new style. But I do see some of you stylizing yourself a little differently in 2018. I feel like really Tauruses are going to have money coming to you in droves. So you've had a lot of good financial success in my YouTube readings on the Pamela Georgel Lucky Mermaid LLC channel. I'm getting it here even in the Psychic Pastry Chef channel. So bravo and good for you, Tauruses. So now I've got my pan all ready to go, and you put that on the side. And you're not going to want to just put the pan in the oven by itself. Definitely use a tray just in case, because you never know, the foil could have a little hole in it, batter could leak out through the pan. You don't want a chocolate pool in the bottom of your oven, so put it on top of another pan. So now I'm going to add all the ingredients that you have to melt in this bowl. So the first thing I'm adding, the first thing you want to add is 1 pound or 2 cups, whatever, however you want to say it, of unsalted butter. So we're putting the butter in there. And it's 1 pound of semi-sweet chocolate. You're going to add that in. 2 cups of granulated sugar. And 1 cup of very strong coffee. All this goes on the double boiler. And now you can get your eggs ready, because after everything melts, you're going to want to whisk the eggs and have them ready to add to the batter. This is like the simplest cake you can make. It's almost fail-proof, really. So you want to whisk your eggs and get a big enough bowl, because you've got 8 eggs here. Don't get a dinky bowl or you'll have eggs going everywhere. So while I'm whisking these eggs, I'm going to look into the sign of Gemini. You might have a father figure come in and like help you out with money, or help you with some kind of lease of a car, or leasing an apartment, or some leasing arrangement. But I get many of you Geminis getting some kind of help or assistance from a father figure in 2018. Some of you Geminis are going to have a new romance that pops up unexpectedly in 2018. I feel like you may feel out of sorts about it, because it may catch you by surprise. So now we just have to watch everything melt over here. And if you start this pan of hot water boiling before you get all these ingredients in, or simmering, this is going to melt very quickly. But as I said, you could take all these ingredients minus the sugar and put it in a big enough bowl and gradually melt it in the microwave. Okay, this really melted extremely quickly. Also, another tip I want to say, if you use the double boiler method, you don't want your flame on high, because it could hit the bowl, and then it would burn the ingredients in the bowl. So just make sure your flame is medium to medium high, not touching the bowl, and it doesn't have to be boiling, but at a simmer is excellent. Okay, so now here we have, basically it looks like chocolate soup. So now I'm going to take the eggs, those 8 eggs that I had previously mixed, and this all looks, everything's totally melted. So now I'm going to add the eggs, and while I do so, I'm going to look into the sign of Cancer. So Cancer for 2018. Cancer, I see you some kind of springboard to success and you being on top of the charts in some way. So if you're in the music business or in the film industry or just within the work you do and the field you're in, they're talking about Cancer's going to the top of the charts in 2018. Because I also see some new job opportunity opening up, or some kind of opportunity opening up. You could, if you own your own business, you could be linking your business to another company, like having a sister company, or just getting involved somehow working with another company. So I've mixed it all together. You want to make sure you get this incorporated really well. And when you look at it, it's kind of like, how can this actually turn into a cake? Well, it's going to be a cake, but it's not going to have layers. You could not cut this and fill it. Everything goes on top of this cake. So now I'm going to pour it into my greased pan. This cake I originally learned how to make right after I graduated culinary school in my first pastry chef job I had on Rittenhouse Square in Philadelphia back in the 80s, and I have made it at every place I've worked at or owned since, and it's very, people love it. It's very popular, and it's so easy. You absolutely can make it at home. Do not fret. So now I'm going to put this on this pan, and it's going to go in an oven at 350 degrees for an hour. Okay, so now I'm going to show you how easy it is to decorate this Mocha Fudge cake. So what you want to do is you want to peel off the foil. Turn it over. And pick out the plate or platter that you want to put this cake on. So I'm going to use this. Okay, now the next step is you can either use raspberry puree, raspberry jam, or in this case, I'm going to use raspberry pie filling to spread on the top of this cake, which is going to be the next layer that whipped cream is going to go over top. Now, the reason I think jam or raspberry pie filling is better is because if you use raspberry puree, as excellent as it tastes, it's going to bleed into the whipped cream. So while I'm putting this raspberry on, I am going to look into the sign of Leo. I see like a new family member, a new baby, or somebody entering your family. This could be a new, you know, like somebody having a baby. You could be having or you could be having a baby, or your grandchild. You could be having a grandchild, or your son or daughter could be getting married. I also see like a marked difference in your social calendar, Leo. So you could be having new friends, new family members, socializing with a whole new group of people. That's prominent for Leos in 2018. Okay, so that's pretty good here. That's enough. You don't want to overdo it, although some people would say you can't have enough raspberry. Some people aren't going to like raspberry with chocolate, so it's all a personal preference. So now I'm going to whip the cream that's going to go on top of this. So what you need is two cups of heavy cream and about 1/4 to 1/3 of a cup of powdered sugar. And you want to whip this to stiff peaks here. And you want this to nice, stiff peaks. You don't want to turn it into butter, but you want it to hold up, believe me. Now, if you feel like you want to just scoop it on the top with a spoon, that's fine. It would look great, be delicious. You could smooth it around with the back of a spoon or a spatula. But I'm going to use a pastry tip using an open star tip and pipe around the outside. Now, if you have, you can get any kind of turntable. You can get these at any craft store, or if you have a professional one, all the better. And that will make it easier for you to decorate if you want. So you want to collar your pastry bag. Don't hold it open at the tip or you're going to get it everywhere. So make a collar, put your hand in, and now you're going to fill the bag. And while I'm doing that, I'm going to look into the sign of Virgo. I see you, Virgo's, helping somebody out of a crisis or helping someone in need comes up. This could be friends or family. You're definitely a soft heart and a soft touch. So, you know, people tend to know that about you, Virgo, and they come to you when they're in need. But I do see you helping someone out. I really do feel like Virgos are going to feel like they made some big headway this year or had some accomplishment, big accomplishment. Like you're going to have a sense of accomplishment. So now you want to get the air out of the bag and you can start piping in rosettes around the top. You start on the outer edge and work inward. So while I'm doing this, I'm going to get you some psychic messages for the signs of Libra. Libra, I feel like you're kind of had it with people giving you the bum's rush about stuff. And I feel like you're going to want in 2018 some people to clarify things for you. Any documents, paperwork, or any messages that you've gotten from people. It could be family, could be work related, where you feel like I need somebody to clarify that. You may have some marked changes in your appearance too, Libra. Either you feel like you're gaining weight and or you could be slimming down, one or the other. I get some marked differences in your appearance. So now I'm going in on the inner circle and I'm going to focus in on Scorpio. You know, if you work for a company that's run, there's any questionable activity about, you may have the government come in and seize something that's gotten out of hand at the company where you work. Maybe some kind of documents or something for the Scorpios. I don't feel it's your business. This really feels like if you work for someone else. And, you know, jealousy reigns supreme here. I feel you may have to protect yourself or stay away from any jealous people or especially if you have any jealous family members. That comes up here for the Scorpios. So now as I finish this part of it up, I'm going to look into the sign of Sagittarius. I pick up, you know, they say you're going up the the ramp to get on a ship. You may be doing some traveling in 2018. This could be for fun or pleasure. So now I finished this up here. So you can see here. And if you want to whip more cream, now I used 2 cups. You could actually I could have done a better job of piping that, but you know, one shot here on good old YouTube. You could fill in any little gaps and whip some more cream. As I said, I used 2 cups in this amount. You could use a little more. And believe me, this cake is so dense and thick, you need it. So now the other decoration that I'm going to put on here is strawberries to mark it off. But I'm going to tell you, this cake is so rich. If you mark off where the strawberries are and think you're going to cut a piece that big and someone can finish it, you really can't. It's really, you know, you could do some smaller markings here. But I've washed these and I'm going to leave the greens on because it makes a nice contrast with the white and the dark. So while I'm doing that, I'm still listening to Sagittarius. You're going to be hearing a lot of things about family members in the year of 2018. And for some of you, some of it could be like concerning, like if you may hear that there's somebody in your family that's going through some kind of health issue. It doesn't have to be somebody close. It could be somebody at a distance from you. But so just think of, see how that plays out, Sagittarius. So now I'm going to look into the sign of Capricorn while I glaze these strawberries. Now, if you've watched any other previous episodes, I also wanted to add that you can add vanilla to the whipped cream. Now, if you've watched any of my previous episodes, like Fruit Fantasy Cheesecake for the sign of Cancer, or the Libra episode for the baked apple tart, you're going to see that I like to use apricot glaze on the fruit. It makes the fruit last longer and it makes it look prettier and shinier. So while I do this, I'm going to look into the sign of Capricorn. So you would just hold your strawberries by the green, take your pastry brush, and what I did is I took about 2 to 3 tablespoons of apricot preserves and like maybe 1/4 to 1/2 cup of water and boiled it. I whisked it around. You want it to reduce and get a little thick. You don't want it to be too runny. So let's see what's going to come up for Capricorn. I really feel like many Capricorns are going to begin something new. It could be a new business venture, a new business. Some of you Capricorns may be thinking of buying a rental property, like buying a piece of property and then renting it out to make money on it that way. I also pick up, if you've been pondering on any new crafts or hobbies, Capricorn, you may decide to get involved in that. You know, if you like writing, writing a book or whatever your hobby you've been thinking of, I feel you may be starting new crafts and hobbies. So now I'm going to look into Aquarius for 2018. I see some big starts for Aquarius. You may have new romance and some kind of big starts in 2018. You're going to be following your heart, Aquarius. So you're going to let your heart guide you no matter what it is you're doing, whether that's in love or work. It doesn't matter. I see you will be letting your heart guide you. You could have a person of prominence that shows interest in your work and wants to employ you, or that could be the person that you're going to get involved with, or both. They could be one and the same. So now I'm going to look into Pisces. Wow, that was a big giant strawberry right there. Woohoo! Kind of overpowers the whole Megillah. So what's coming up for Pisces in 2018? You know, for Pisces, I see you walking a fine line between love and hate. I feel you may be distancing yourself from someone. This could be somebody that you're in a relationship with, or that you have a friendship with, or a family member. But I get, like, I'm seeing you walk along this thin line of a fence, and like there's a thin line between love and hate. And there is some people that you may say, Pisces, that enough's enough, you're done with them, or distancing yourself from them. So let me just say here, with this recipe, with this decoration, it's great if you can get all of the strawberries to be the same size. But, you know, when you're not in a restaurant and you're buying them at the food store, the container, they're large and small. So do the best you can trying to match them up, because I have some out of balance. Some of those are too big. So now what you can do for the center is you can make chocolate curls or some other kind of decoration to put in the center. Chocolate curls looks really nice, but unfortunately I didn't have time to make that. So I took a Hershey bar and I melted it down and I made a chocolate rose out of it. This is not normally how I would make them or decorate them, but this was made from a Hershey bar. So I'm gonna stick that right in the center. I do see Pisces also having a trip you're going to have to take. And this trip is going to involve a lot of packing. And it may be packing equipment. If you're in any kind of industry where equipment of any kind is involved, computers or cameras and lights or just whatever equipment you would use for the job, I see you having to go on a trip and do some packing and packing of equipment. And you know what? I think I'll get an impartial person's opinion. Hey, Dan, you want a piece of this Mocha Fudge Cake?
Sure.
All right. All right. Give that a try.
It's good.
All right.
I really like what you did with the strawberries.
All right. Thanks. That's my son, Dan. Thank you for that, Dan. So remember, be sure to follow your true passions in life, and then you'll know you're on the right path. Until next time. Thanks for watching The Psychic Pastry Chef. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you're interested in getting any of the special videos I've recorded for my Psychic Pastry Chef Vimeo On Demand channel with more recipes and psychic predictions for 2018 for each sign of the zodiac, you can access these videos for purchase by clicking on the link below this video, or you can go to my website, www.thepsychicpastrychef.com, and click on the Videos tab on my menu. If you're interested in scheduling a private psychic reading with me, or purchasing any of the special videos that I record monthly for each sign of the zodiac for my Lucky Mermaid Vimeo On Demand channel, you can access those videos for purchase by clicking on the Videos tab on my menu at www.theluckymermaid.com and go to my order page online scheduling calendar for booking new appointments, which reopens every 4 to 5 months. See you next month.